Yeah, please.
Okay, all right. Our board chair, our board members, members of the Fourth Estate, my colleagues, good morning. I would like first to start by apologizing. We had scheduled to start this a little bit earlier, but nevertheless, thank you so much for coming. So this is how we're going to run it. We're going to have a statement for KAM being issued out by a board chair, and then thereafter we'll have a session of asking a questions or two. And I would really request if we can, have the questions limited to the topic of today when the time of questions come. So I don't know if you're ready, so then we can start rolling. You ready? Okay, Chair, please, just a minute. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, members from the Fourth Estate. And again, my apologies for the delay. Let me just give a quick round of introductions. My name is Rajan Shah. I'm the chair of Kenya Association of Manufacturers. On my right is a board member, Marianne Musangi, and on my left is our immediate past chair, Mushai Kuniha. Welcome all, and I'll first read out our statement. You want to just... Or just turn it down, just flip it down. Okay. Is that better? Okay, thank you. This is a statement from the Kenya Association of Manufacturers on the ongoing demonstrations. The Kenya Association...
Sorry, Chair, I'm so sorry, just a minute. Sorry.
Okay. Okay, we're good? Okay, yeah, we can start over. Okay, thank you. This is a statement from the Kenya Association of Manufacturers on the ongoing demonstrations. The Kenya Association of Manufacturers would like to express its concerns over the ongoing protests and their impact in the country. We acknowledge that as per Article 37 of the Kenyan Constitution 2010, and in accordance with provisions of the Public Order Act, every person has the right, peacefully and unarmed, to assemble, to demonstrate, to picket, and to present petitions to public authorities. It is critical that this should be done while safeguarding every Kenyan and without interrupting business operations or destruction of property. Considering this, we would like to state as follows. We are deeply concerned by the safety and well-being of Kenyans, our employees, and customers during the ongoing protests. Regrettably, several people have lost their lives. We empathize with their families during these difficult times. Additionally, the protests have created an uncertainty and fear, making it quite challenging for employees to travel safely to work. The safety of consumers visiting business premises has been gravely jeopardized, further aggravating the already challenging situation. Suffice to note, business have not been spared either with reports of damages and loss of properties such as vehicles, offices, shops, infrastructure, and outlets. the ongoing protests have dealt a significant blow to the manufacturing sector. We share the pain of most of our members who have reported that numerous businesses have experienced disruptions, hindering their day-to-day operations. This has led to severe financial losses for businesses of all sizes, affecting not only their growth, but also the livelihoods of their employees. In some instances, some businesses and retail outlets have borne the brunt of angry protesters who vandalized their enterprises, as we have witnessed in the media. Our manufacturing sector contribution to the Kenyan economy stands at about 1 trillion shillings, as per the Economic Survey 2023. This translates to approximately 2.86 billion shillings daily in value addition. Therefore, the country stands to lose up to 2.86 billion shillings daily if the protests continue to disrupt businesses, as we have witnessed in the last 2 weeks. The continuous demonstrations have also severely disrupted the logistics and supply chain networks essential for the smooth flow of manufactured products to the end consumers. These disruptions have hampered the ability to transport raw materials and finished goods, thereby affecting the entire manufacturing process, leading to delays and increased costs. This directly impacts the availability of essential products in the market, leading to potential shortages and price volatility. This will not help alleviate the pain of the high cost of living and will instead increase it further. Investors rely heavily on a stable political and social environment that assures the safety of their investments while guaranteeing that business operations will not be disrupted. Kenya's reputation as an attractive investment hub is at risk following these demonstrations. With an ambitious plan to grow the manufacturing sector, contribution as a percentage of GDP threefold from 7.8% to 20% by 2030, we are concerned that this may not be achievable at the current trend. We appreciate the role played by the police to safeguard life and property during this protest. Whilst a noble cause, it is not sustainable to deploy such resources on a day-to-day basis as a precautionary measure. Further, we implore on all independent institutions, including the police, NCIC, Parliament, and the judiciary, to play their constitutional roles independently for the good of all Kenyans. We urge the government and Azimio la Umoja to lead from the front and strive to resolve this stalemate using peaceful means, such as dialogue and any other means provided for by the Constitution. As it is, we are in a lose-lose situation. There is no winner in this scenario. We must all agree to dialogue and endeavor to find a compromise for us to move forward as a country and not reverse the gains we have achieved so far. The Kenyan Constitution has sufficient ways to address grievances through various institutions such as Parliament, judiciary, and other independent bodies. We urge all Kenyans that we have an equal responsibility to prioritize and maintain peace, stability, and the long-term well-being of our beloved country, Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. At this juncture, we want to pick a few questions. Please just state your name, the media house you represent, and please let's limit to one question, kindly. Yeah. If I can get the other mic. Okay, I will. You'll get a chance. Just quick 3 questions first.
All right.
And then we'll continue.
Okay. Hibak Said from TV47. You said the total losses are at around 2.8 billion. Are there various sectors, manufacturing businesses that have been affected? Which ones? And are there numbers to support this? What are the statistics every sector or subsector is experiencing?
Brian Zototino from NTV, just in line with that also, is to look at the indemnity structure in terms of those businesses that were insured and what kind of claims also have been reported to you in relation to the underwriters, of course, who underwrite those claims. Because again, most of the businesses operate when such kind of risk factors have been mitigated. So what are the insurers also reporting from their end?
My name is Linda Koske from K24 TV. I just want to pick your thoughts in regards to what the president for Tanzania mentioned a few days ago in regards to them gaining investors, mainly because of the instability, political instability in the country. And we have been experiencing in the recent past migration of businesses to other nations like Rwanda. Perhaps you can just touch on that, because it's an umbrella body. KAM is an umbrella body of many manufacturers. Perhaps just mention about that, and is it true, and what should be done? Perhaps some recommendations in regards to this.
Can take those first.
Okay, thank you. And I will also ask assistance from my co-directors here to chip into this. On the first question on the 2.8 billion and what sectors have been affected, I think from where we see, all sectors are in one form or another being affected, either because their operations have been hampered through employees not being able to come to work, or them not being able to transport goods. Many of these companies that are our members are moving goods around the country. And when we see that there are areas where they are not able to move their goods around, that actually has a direct impact. And also, more so, many of the FMCG companies which are also transporting goods, the basic essentials, to the supermarkets, to the retail outlets, this has, of course, a major impact. Consumers who cannot go and buy those goods also then has a negative impact on the flow of goods and the demand erosion which happens as a result. So I would say that as far as manufacturers are concerned, it goes across all the sectors. We represent 14 sectors. Out of that, 13 are into manufacturing, and by far all of them have in one form or another been negatively impacted. On the second question around the claims, we have not yet directly received any information from the insurance companies as to what the amount of claims are. What we are getting is some kind of feedback without any quantification as to some level where our members have been affected or where properties may have been damaged, plus also what we are also hearing from the media. But for sure, over time, we are going to start kind of getting this feedback and figures, and we will have to quantify what these are, for sure.
I think what I'd like to add on that is insurance on political strife is not something that...
Okay. Let me move the mic a bit, please.
It's a 2-second thing that we'll have to switch again. This is why I didn't want to switch, because we'll just have to switch again. No, I was just going to add, with regards to insurance on political strife, is not a normal insurance that most businesses take up, because it's not something that we foresee. So you may find, and I think we will find, a lot of our industries and manufacturers are not insured for this kind of climate and environment that we see ourselves in, which makes the loss even bigger. And these are things that as an industry and as a manufacturing sector, we need to start looking into so as to protect our manufacturers and their employees. Thank you.
Okay, on the third question, on migration of investments to our neighbors. What I would probably like to say, as Kenya's Association of Manufacturers, we have been continuously striving for how the business environment in this country can be competitive. And we talk about global competitiveness. So our work that we do and advocacy work we do with government is how to ease the cost of doing business, cost of doing business, whether it's power, whether it's taxation, whether it's regulatory environment. And we continue to do that. And whilst Kenya still remains a preferred destination, we are also opening up the region. And for sure, there will also be investments which will go into our neighboring countries as well, based on the comparative advantage of what are the resources available. So, as Kenyans, we have to continue and lift our scope of what we can produce to higher complexity. And by doing that, we then move to the next level in terms of what our manufacturing will be. So irrespective, there will inevitably be, based on where the resources are, investors will move. And we will continue striving to see where we can position as Kenya to be a better destination to bring certain investments here. And the skill sets, the human skill sets that we have are phenomenal. And this is one of our biggest assets. And how do we convert that asset for our benefit? I hope that answers the question.
All right.
You can also get a thoughts for sharing regards to that as well. Sorry for putting that.
That's okay, that's okay. We are here for you.
Thank you, yeah. Just as the chairman said, we are in a region, we are actually also in a continent, Africa, where we are trying to grow businesses across the scope, and investment in Africa. So definitely there'll be investment across the board. But it just brings us back to the issue we came here for, around how do we make ourselves attractive. If the headlines is tires burning and people running up and down, any investor who's coming by will start thinking twice. So it is a competitive environment as well. Even though we have some advantages in the race and we have some position that we have, we can't take it for granted and it can disappear very quickly, which is why we are saying let's take care of what we have, because it's a competitive environment. There are other options. People don't always have to come here. So how do we make sure that we are making ourselves as attractive as possible? And things like the demonstrations, the lack of political consensus is not useful for what we are trying to achieve as a country. Thanks. Yeah.
All right, thank you. We can take the next three. Start with Jimmy and then next.
Good morning, everyone. Jimmy Bogo from KTN. So we know the manufacturing sector employs about 330 Kenyans. If this continues, are we looking at job cuts and to what extent? And also, when are we likely to know the actual figures as to the extent of this, the cost of this demonstration? And are you going to commission research into that?
Brian Amoy from Lookup TV. My question is, we are asking for dialogue in order to get to resolve this particular situation, but in the event we don't have that, are there any contingency plans that you've put in place or rather plan to put in place that will mitigate the impact of the protests?
That's all? Any last question? Good. Then we'll take the last one and we can close the session. Thank you.
Not necessarily a question, but just a comment that yes, we saw there was an attempt to have bipartisan talks within the political class. But I bet this thing goes beyond political aspirations and all that. And for KAM to come out and so many other associations to come out, I guess in the near future, I need to have include the business community in some of these conversations, so that we also see how to have a balance on all those things. Because when politics is when we are politicking like this, a lot of things are affected clearly. So I guess KAM and many other stations, Kenya, KEPSA, and these others, perhaps there's a way you could find your way into those political conversations and voice your concerns even way earlier, before we get to this point where we are now firefighting and having more of curative as opposed to preventive measures. That's it.
All right. Thank you. I think we can take those as the last questions.
Okay, thank you. The first one on jobs and whether there will be job cuts as a result of that. I think the reason why we are here today is to save ourselves from job cuts. Manufacturers are very resilient. We have seen how manufacturers have been resilient during the time of COVID, and despite the global challenges, manufacturers continue to remain resilient, refrain from cutting jobs. So our desire, in fact, our desire is to be growing more jobs, not cutting jobs, and manufacturers don't just go and cut jobs at the first instance. We find ways of how we can resolve these problems so that we can keep the jobs intact, because they are highly more sustainable. Manufacturing jobs are more sustainable. In fact, to that point is where I would just even elaborate more, that this is why growth of manufacturing as a percentage of GDP is so important for this country, because the jobs we create are very sustainable jobs, and they have a multiplier effect of creating more jobs further in the economy as well. So I would say that it's rather early to even give up to ensure that we sustain these jobs. And that is why we are coming here today, to express the concern that as manufacturers we have, so that we can find solutions fast enough and we can turn this around fast enough as well. On the second question on alternatives, I think we have been through this path in the past, and we have successfully come through this. As a country, we are resilient, and I believe, and I strongly believe, that we will also find a solution to this this time around as well. We have a private sector which is extremely dynamic, and we will find solutions which will take us out of this quagmire. So I believe that we do not, we need to give this a chance. And at this stage, there is no plan B that we have. There is only a plan A, and we have to make the plan A to succeed. I think that's where I would leave this. And as I say, just for, a quick on job creation, I think the other area which I would want to stress as what we are doing as Kenya Association of Manufacturers, we have started a whole discussion and not only a discussion, an initiative around what is called agriculture for industry, and how we can link back industry and agriculture. And these are the kind of initiatives and discussions we are having internally with other stakeholders to see how we can create more jobs in the agricultural space, and to support industries through value addition, so that by not only creating jobs, we leave more revenue in the pockets of our farmers, and we also save on foreign currency, and in fact go for export-led growth and have a bigger pot of foreign currency, given what we are seeing as some of the challenges we also are facing. So the job creation is something that as Kenya Association of Manufacturers just goes beyond just manufacturing jobs, but how we can also spur jobs in the agricultural sector. Thank you. Yes, sure.
Musical chairs.
Yes.
You insist. It's important for you to realize that Kenya Association of Manufacturers does not just represent large manufacturers in Kenya. We also represent our SMEs. Who are the largest employers in this country? It is the SMEs. I like your comment on bringing in the different sectors and industries into this dialogue. It is very important. If the manufacturing sector is one of the largest employers, together with agriculture, as the chairman has just said, it is critical for us to be on the negotiating table. We come here to talk for Kenyans. We come here to talk for our SMEs who may not have the ability to have their voice heard. And this is why we're here today, to make sure that the Mwananchi voice is heard. The employer's voice is heard. The employee's voice is heard. We do need to get back to work because this is the only way we will grow and develop our country. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, board members, members of the Fourth Estate. We thank you for taking your time to be with us this morning. And asante sana, and we hope to talk to you after this. Thank you so much. Asante.
Are you going to go, Imara?